You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about active learning strategies that you can use in supervision. This week, we read Experiential Learning for Grown-Ups, published in Psychology Today 2022. Heather, the article pointed out 4 different types of active learning that you can incorporate into supervision. The first one was project-based learning.
Right. So we kind of brainstormed this a little bit, but one of the things that comes to mind most of the time is when you're working in an agency and someone's like, hey, we could really use a group for this. We could really use a play therapy group for siblings of special need kids. Yep. Like very specific kind of thing, right? Uh-huh. And as a supervisor, you go, oh, interesting. Go ahead, research that, right. Get on it.
do the legwork, help us get ready. Yeah. Right. Maybe even more engaging if this is like a passion project of your supervisee, that they say, okay, here I am, and I have always wanted to do this. I'm like, go for it. I mean, you're going to be the person who is most excited and can explain it the best. So, yeah. What about, could this be something that a supervisee does that engages clients also? Some kind of project-based learning that...
I think it could be some kind of, if they're engaging clients in a way, like specific groups, right? It works really well if you're talking about like a clinic-based setting or something where you're getting the same type group that would need the same thing. Like those are a little easier than just randomly 1 or 2 clients that might need this.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Now that you say that, we're, with this idea, project-based learning, we are thinking a lot about groups. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. It just seemed to be something that we both went to.
What about maybe a different twist? But again, it's still kind of a group learning thing. Maybe there's a modality of therapy that someone's really interested in, and you say, I don't know very much about that one.
Right.
So why don't you find out about it, learn some things, and then teach me?
Others. Right. Teach me or teach our group.
A group.
Yep. Very good.
I think that could be interesting. I know I have a supervisee right now that's learning more about biology and play therapy.
Okay. Interesting.
And I think that would be beneficial to all of my supervisees.
Right. I think this even can go to things that are not necessarily they're not things that you like. They don't have to be necessarily directly client related, like running a group or something. It could also be something project based where it is still going to benefit. Like they need to learn about something. So maybe it's going to a seminar about something. Maybe it's going seeking out those kind of like you're going to have a topic that you're interested in and you're going to go get schooled on it, essentially, right? Getting extra education.
One thing I think the common theme that both of us are thinking around that we didn't say to each other was that you would want this to be really practical.
Right. It needs to be like something you can apply.
Yeah. I'm thinking one of the sites that I worked at pretty early on, probably right out of school, something that new interns, someone who was still in school that was also getting hours there, they were always assigned to create like a binder of group activities.
Oh, for someone else to follow.
Right.
Like, okay.
And I feel like, that is project-based learning, but I also feel like the way it was implemented just fell flat.
Yeah.
So then we had this binder of junk.
Right. It wasn't really usable.
Yeah. Printed out, put in this giant binder. And it didn't end up being very practical or used. Right. It was just like a giant paperweight in the therapist office and not.
No one really was like, oh, let me look this up for something. Yeah. I think especially if we look back about 10 years or so many things are now accessible online, or like you just Google that, or you just call somebody that works in the same field and is like, hey, what have you done for this? And It's much more connective.
Yeah.
Used to be a lot more on your own about.
Well, that makes me think too. I can't think of the name of the website, but just as well, I wouldn't name it.
Right.
But it's basically that. It's a website with a ton of worksheets, but
like
it's
copy
not,
and print off?
Yeah, it's just not dynamic,
right.
though.
Right.
It's just, so I do remember at that same setting, so many of those students that thought, I'm being really smart here. I found this website and I'm just going to print off a bunch of these papers on this website.
Doing. Yeah.
Right. And then they would put it in the binder, and it still was basically the same thing. That, I mean, so you did what was asked, but did it actually teach you anything?
Right.
Did it help you to feel more confident or have more tools that you could use efficiently or effectively?
So as you're saying this, I'm remembering I was that girl. They made me do a notebook. But I also think we implemented, and this was long ago when I was in a different state, we were part of a brand new program that we were literally kind of creating our own curriculum as we went with young kids that were in day treatment. And we ended up, I don't know, a year into the program, realizing there was a lot of that. Like, here's this book of information. Here's a curriculum. Use it. Yeah. Like, whatever. But we ended up doing, I forgot what you called them. There was some funny name. I don't remember, like follow-up sheets or something like that. And whoever was in charge of that group, that ran that group, that tried to use the curriculum, would give feedback. And some of it was, well, we had too many clients that were high energy to do this activity. Some of it was very specific. But other parts of it were much more like, this is too complicated. And although it looks great on paper, this does not work in a setting with a group of kids.
Practical.
Yeah. So I think like that is still a project-based thing. By implementing our follow-up sheets was like, hey, tell us how this works. And we just ditched the whole thing. We ended up creating a curriculum from scratch that worked with our population. Because although there's lots of good ideas out there, we're not going to be able to do a feeling chart with kiddos that can't sit still. Yeah. It's not going to be appropriate.
Yeah.
So
the next point in the article was shadowing, and you and I pushed each other to think lots of people everywhere that are learning to be counselors are involved in shadowing. How do you make this come alive more? How do you make it more useful?
Right. Like following someone else's path. So not necessarily sitting in supervision with you, but they want to know about maybe a specific modality or how somebody else does this kind of therapy, like a specific kind, or does an intervention this way, and searching that out and being able to talk, like physically go to their office and see them. And
So it might mean seeking out, like you'd have to do some work to find a person who does this thing that you're interested in.
Right.
I think that maybe that's the part where I think it's overused, is that people are shadowing without intent.
Right.
They're just sitting in the room.
Right.
You and I were talking about that we both have had supervisees that have finished all of the phases of experiential learning that they do in school, and they're now out of school and being supervised towards full licensure wherever they live.
Right.
And they're still trying to count shadowing as their direct hours.
Right. Like, that no longer counts.
Yeah. At that point, unless maybe it is a brand new skill or something they've not used before, it's not really furthering their learning at that point.
Right. I think I just thought of one. Do you remember a couple of years ago, there was an article that came out, I think it was the New York Times that started it, and it kind of went everywhere, about cow cuddling?
No.
Okay, so there was this article that came out, and you could pay a ridiculous amount of money on a farm somewhere in New York. I'm pretty sure it was New York. And you could go and like sit with a cow and cuddle with a cow, and it's supposed to be very like soothing and healing or whatever. Yeah. I don't know how much. It was ridiculous amount.
If I had a cow, I would totally let people cuddle with it.
You could cuddle it. Well, you could also charge like $200 for like a cuddle session.
Yeah.
Anyway, it kind of spurred something in one of my supervisees at the time, because she'd always been interested in like equestrian therapy and like things like that. And so she did a little bit of this shadowing that we're talking about, like went and like was at this ranch for a day with the day that they serviced special needs kids. And then she had a whole bunch of things to say about that, because there were kids there that weren't really special needs that were doing horse therapy because it was fun. Which, okay, that's good. I mean, I'm good with everybody having some fun, but I think things like that, like, right, she literally went and spent a day out there to kind of learn more about it, and then decided, it's not for me. I love the idea of it, but it's not really my thing. again, she got a great day outside doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
And it still applied completely to her experience, like trying to decide her career path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I would go cuddle with a cow, just for the record.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
but I do think, if we're going to say shadowing, I think that this isn't just run-of-the-mill shadowing that all of us have done.
Right.
But creating something new out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting something more out of it.
How would you use it and applying it to your practice or your group, whatever?
I think maybe I can imagine this being useful for maybe someone who's never experienced supervision before or being a supervisor before. I felt like that as a brand new counselor, not having had any supervision, thinking, how does this go?
Right. What do I do now?
Right. Like what, do I say something? Is it like, do you have a lesson plan or homework? And you can't have all of those things, but, maybe watching a supervision session between two people and going, oh, that's how that works. I do feel like maybe it wasn't my very first practicum site or intern site in school, but when I was there were other students there and it was their first experience.
Yes.
And I can remember them leaving our group supervision and going, oh, that's what that is.
Not knowing really.
Yeah. Now I know what that's all about and what I'm supposed to do. And, so I think that, maybe we could say shadowing at different phases. Right. So maybe even a counselor working in an agency and they've watched, they know what to expect in groups. They know what to expect in individual sessions or family sessions, but maybe they've never helped someone discharge before.
Oh yeah. That's
and
a good one.
They're like, well, I'm going to shadow this piece so that I better know where I fit or what I can do to complement that.
Right. I did one time have a prior supervisee reach out and say, hey, I really would love to do supervision, but like, I don't remember like from your side of it, what is supervision like? And she was asking me like, so what do you do? Like, tell me, what did we do when I first came in? And she was wanting to know how to become a supervisor other than the class requirements. But like, what do I do now? And I think it's one of those things where if you remember it, great. And if you don't remember it, you kind of have to go back and create it for what it is for you.
Third in our article was volunteering. How can volunteering be a piece of active learning that counselors, supervisees are involved in?
I think this is tricky and not tricky, but one of the easiest ways to look at it is within the course of your clinic setting, if there is something that needs to be done or something that needs to be covered, you can volunteer and say, oh, I can take that intake or I can do the, within your capability, obviously, but like volunteering to do it, even though it's not necessarily part of your job as a counselor to do those things.
I think that would be kind of scary. I was thinking or imagining volunteering for, well, I can pitch in and run this group. Right. And maybe it's a group you've not run before. That could be kind of intimidating or scary, but also useful. Jump in, learn by doing. I was thinking about volunteering to me could mean being involved in a committee. Right. And the benefits that come from that. Right. Understanding the organization better, meeting people that could be helpful to you. Right. So it's a piece of counseling, but not directly counseling skills. Right. I also think I always encourage interns, supervisees, very new to counseling, to seek out volunteer opportunities in organizations where they could maybe attend a conference for free, right, or be involved in something and get to benefit from it. That
work the check-in table and you now get to go for free.
I don't think they would let you and I do a whole lot of that.
Probably not.
But if you're a student, a lot of organizations are set up so that that's available to students, which I think is a huge benefit. But yeah, I think maybe more so in an agency. Do you think it happens as much in a private practice where there are volunteer opportunities that let you try out different roles?
I don't necessarily think it's one of the reasons I actually think that having some kind of clinic work is important before you do private practice. I just think it is something you grow from by being around other professionals. It doesn't happen as often in a private practice, other than maybe, like you were saying, things that are not therapy related. Volunteering to take over someone's task because they can. Volunteering to take over a task of straightening up the playroom or straightening up the, it's not necessary, but you might, from that experience, gain what it's like. Oh, I didn't know that the partners here do this once a week, and that's who cleans the bathroom. I didn't know, those kind of things.
I'm thinking last week, I guess, I went to an event for one of the organizations that I am a committee member on. And had I not already been involved, I looked at it through different eyes that I went, oh, because I actually took someone with me and they said, do you know everyone here? And I went, yep, I do know everybody here. Yep, I do. But for someone not already involved, like a volunteer, that they would go, wow, this is this many new connections that I can make.
Absolutely.
Someone who does something that I don't know about, or someone who has a specialty that I might really need to collaborate with. And there's so many opportunities.
I think that's very important. I think especially newer, straight out of school supervisees that don't have the experience yet, how valuable is it to go to some of those, like, not the big time conferences that are statewide, but like the local ones where you actually get to make connections. I think it's great if you can go with your supervisor to go and be there, because then they'll remember. If they don't remember you, they're going to remember, oh, Sarah's your supervisor. And there's good connections for them to have.
I agree. Okay, finally, our last point in the article, curiosity conversations.
Trying to figure out, it's one of my favorites, right? Trying to figure out how something can be done differently. I mean, part of it is if you have a supervisee, and I do this to my supervisees, but if they are very focused on a certain type of therapy, EFT or CBT, I encourage them to look at it from the other side. So if they're always in one mindset, like shift and try to get other questions. And well, okay, that's great that that's what you would do, but what if you were using, name that theory, and try it out.
Right now, actually, I have a group of students that I'm teaching a class where there's theory involved. And prior to me, they've all become really committed to CBT. I don't know why.
They haven't known you long enough.
Right. And in this course, coincidentally, CBT is not discussed at all, but lots of different theories. And so a lot of their conversations are curiosity conversations. Think about this. Ask yourself these questions about this theory. Think about who or how you could apply this theory to. They all got, one week they got really excited and into thinking about this one specific theory, and they all just really identified with it. Like, oh, this makes so much sense to me. I love this idea. I can totally imagine using this with someone. And I loved that at the end, of all the discussions and all the assignments, I got to say, that's nothing like CBT.
Right. That is not what you
not one single bit like CBT. Not to say that CBT is not useful, but to say, consider other ideas.
Right.
You got so excited about this idea, and it's not what you thought you needed to use or was most effective.
Exactly.
It's this whole new thing that might be really useful to you.
Right. And sometimes I've tended to do this with clients. If you have a client that is hanging around for a while that probably could launch, or maybe they haven't done the work to go deep enough into whatever they're coping with, is I'll mix it up. I won't stay in the same mindset or in the same frame. I'll start asking maybe some more CBT type directive questions, or maybe and they'll often comment, oh, you were
That's different.
Very different tonight or something. I'm like, yes, with intention, But I think that also can change the framework of how you do supervision. If you have kind of a style that every time someone comes in for supervision, they sit down, you talk about your caseload, and then they leave. Well, one, that just gets boring. But two, if you challenge that kind of mundane and get them to think about it differently, or even change seats, sit in a different spot, move things around physically.
I had forgotten that I did this recently. The people in my office all have different counseling perspectives. And recently someone has joined the building that's using a type of therapy that I don't know anything about. And I asked, partly because we had some new people, so I wanted
Right.
everybody to meet.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked that person to give us just a quick little lesson or little intro into what she was doing for the purpose of, I thought, I mean, so if somebody says, well, don't you know about this? That I at least know
Oh,
a
yes.
little bit.
Right.
I mean, I know what that acronym means,
Right.
and I kind of have the idea. Or that, you know, in the case that I want to refer someone to
Mm-hmm.
her in the office, then I know what I'm sending them
Right.
to.
Right.
So getting, you know, starting the curiosity conversation and finding out something new. I mean, maybe it struck a chord and I thought, this is my new thing.
Right.
I'm going to
try it.
jump into it,
Right.
and I want to do this. But getting to find out and understand more.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I did find out was I think it is similar but not the same to some of the things that I do. So in that way, I could connect it to something and
Right.
go, okay, that makes sense to me, that would work or be useful.
And I think also in that same vein of questioning, it's, you know, whenever I find myself, whether it's with a client or in supervision, where I just feel like you're there, like you're just like, oh, kind of like I'm not growing, or I'm not getting more out of this. I mean, we reach out to each other. I reach out to other colleagues and say, so what do you think? 14-year-old anxiety, but only at school, and like kind of just talk through like the basics, because sometimes just saying it gets you to think about it differently.
Yeah.
It also shows your bias. Like if you're saying it with attitude or with a problem, you're like, oh, I'm not liking it because of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you start to have those conversations with other people, and they're people you trust and that you work with, and you know, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't think about trying music, or I didn't think about trying this, even if it's something you might have with a different client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. Heather and I would love to hear about some of your favorite get up and move ways to learn and supervise. And of course, we would love to hear any suggestions you have about future topics.